Good morning. Welcome to Global News and Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. And the headlines: courts reject Anyanwu's bids to stop INEC from effecting removal as PDP secretary. Benue Assembly suspends certain members over dishonorable conduct. Ugandan courts postpones decision to sentence opposition leader, and high-octane gasoline becomes Cuba's first basic necessity sold only in dollars. Details shortly.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was...
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye.
Aye. We have taken the move by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The Nigerian Senate has summoned National Security Advisor NSA Abdul Ribadu and heads of all security agencies, including the NIA, DSS, and DIA, to address allegations of USAID sponsoring Boko Haram. The Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Air and Naval Staff have also been summoned. The summons follows allegations made by U.S. Republican Congressman Scott Perry. Senator Alin Dume raised a point of order during a Senate session on Wednesday, emphasizing the urgent national importance of the matter and the need for collaboration with security agencies to uncover the truth.
The monumental devastation caused by Boko Haram in this country should be a matter of concern as it has dented the image of this country among the Committee of Nations for allegations to begin to emerge at this point in time that some international organizations are behind this unwholesome act. There is the urgent need for steps to be taken by the federal government to unravel the mystery behind this whole episode.
The Nigerian Senate is set to conduct public hearings on February 24th and 25th regarding 4 key tax reform bills. Chairman Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, announced his developments after a closed-door session with various government agencies. The bills include the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Bill, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and additional Nigerian tax bills. Both houses of the National Assembly have completed the second reading of these bills, opening the door for public engagement. Senator Musa stated that the legislation aims to align Nigeria with advanced economies by ensuring adequate funding across various sectors. The hearings will provide a platform for stakeholders, including civil society organizations and other sectors.
His Excellency the President directed that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, the Chairman Federal Inland Revenue Services, the Chairman of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee should engage with the National Assembly and all other stakeholders to make sure that all the gray areas are being addressed. And I can tell you that we have done the needful. We have had a lot of engagement, even with the ulamas, with some pressure groups, with some professional bodies. We have had some engagements. So I believe that whatever we're going to do, believe in this National Assembly. We are going to come out with documents that, by the grace of God, Nigerians will accept.
Meanwhile, these bills sent to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu in October 2024 have faced opposition, especially from the Northern Caucasus. The primate of the Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, has called for the abolition of the current constitution and the drafting of a new one that prioritizes justice and equity in a truly democratic system. The Anglican primate says that this at the standing committee meeting of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, holding at St. Cyprian's Anglican Church, Hospital Road, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The standing committee meeting is a biennial event held in February and September. Most Reverend Ndukuba emphasized that a constitution developed through the citizens' participation is the only way to address the nation's challenges. He said that the present system breeds greed, anarchy, and injustice. He condemned the rampant killings across the country and urged the authorities to take decisive action to restore security. He also encouraged citizens to remain resilient, expressing hope for a better future. He noted that while many of these crimes are committed by foreigners from neighboring countries, such individuals are often hired by politicians to advance their interests. Ndukuba also called for advanced or concerted efforts to detoxicate the nation and promote total healing. He urged President Bola Tinubu to leave a lasting legacy by addressing the factors threatening national unity. As part of the efforts, he advocated for the establishment of a National Reconciliation Commission to tackle deep-seated divisions and set the country on a path to recovery. In his speech, Governor Similai Fubara stated that his administration is already addressing key socio-economic challenges highlighted by the primates, including youth development, workers' welfare, and security services. He emphasized the government's commitments to collaborating with the church to foster positive societal values by providing the necessary logistical support for citizens' reorientation.
Tackling the intractable insecurity challenges. Nigeria was fast becoming a land flowing with tears and blood, because the reality of terror, devastations, destructions, and fear are evident. The troubles that come to the people are like the earthquake, which was followed by a tsunami with great destruction of lives and property. The aftermath is only ruins and fear for life. We live in a very uncertain times, insecurity and devastation and economic hardship. Even by yesterday, this is the vanguard of yesterday. The front page says, 19 killed in fresh attack by herdsmen on Benue villages. So this is a reality, it's a problem. Just as we pray, we must also determine to make a difference and return this nation to the path of life and recovery. God, who delivered Jerusalem from the siege of King Sennacherib, will deliver us. But much depends on the collective action of all who desire the best for this nation. Nigeria needs a new constitution. We need a newly drafted national constitution crafted by the citizens, and not merely the amendment to a military-imposed constitution. The issue of justice, equity, and equality of citizens in a free and democratic society remains an issue that must be openly and frankly discussed, legislated on, and implemented for the survival of this nation, Nigeria. Nigeria needs a new civilian and democratic constitution. We need a rebirth of a new Nigeria, where no citizen is oppressed as we sing in our national anthem. Rather, everyone has right to strive for good life. We need a nation where the resources are judiciously distributed for the good of all. Our present system breeds greed, corruption, anarchy, and injustice. We need a new Nigeria for all citizens.
I've listened to the address by the bishop, and a few things that I mentioned there are not different from what we as a government have keyed into. Issues of security, of life and property, welfare of our citizens when it comes to issues of healthcare. We also have aspects of youth development, which you're spending about 5 billion naira. I want to commend what you're doing and to assure you that the River State government, under my watch, will support the Church of Nigeria. We are partners. Government cannot do it alone. Government has to do it and succeed with the church. The church is the only place, even those people that are not committed Christians, but somehow they go to church. And when they continue to hear the word of God every day, they are compelled to change their ways. And in changing this way, it's one of the issues that I also mentioned here, to increase evangelism, to spread the gospel, to bring changes, positive changes in our lives and our environment. So I want to assure you that we will also support in expanding the work of God through evangelism, providing the necessary logistics. My supporters, when I mean my supporters, my ESCOs are not pastors. So the only thing we can do is to provide logistics for you to continue to expand your work in the very hand of God. I want to say here that we as a government will continue to partner with the church, not just my own communion, but every other denomination, to make sure that we continue to preach peace, to enable development come into our country.
The chairman of Igbo local government area of ENUGU State, Dr. Eric Odo, has promised that the council area will attain open defecation-free status by June. Odo said on Wednesday that the council would inaugurate a task force to ensure that all households, schools, churches and markets in the area would soon have functional toilets and hand-washing facilities. Odo gave the assurance when he hosted Rebecca Gabriel, the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF WASH specialist in ENUGU field office, in his office at Ogbede. He said that the June deadline was sacrosanct, adding that the council would set up a mobile courts to try landlords without functional toilets in their houses. He, however, said that his administration would provide toilets to indigent households to promote a healthy environment. On water, he said that he was working closely with the State Ministry of Water Resources and the ENUGU State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency to resuscitate non-functional boreholes in the area. According to him, his administration is doing everything possible to see that boreholes in Ukehe, Umana, Ozala, Ohebedim, and other communities get needed attention. He appealed to UNICEF to assist the council in the provision of water to complement the council's efforts at promoting hygiene. Odo said that his administration was committed to promoting WASH activities. Protesting students of Federal University Lokoja on Wednesday threatened to block the Abuja-Lagos highway if the federal government failed to stop the incessant killing of their colleagues by trucks. Benjamin Timothy, full President Students' Union Government, SUG, who made the threats during the procession at the Falele campus, Lokoja, said the students were tired of mourning their colleagues. 5 of the institution's students were killed on Monday when an unarticulated vehicle lost control and crushed a shuttle bus carrying students. Timothy said that the peaceful demonstration staged on Wednesday was a signal to the authorities concerned to do something drastic about the continuous massacre of innocent students along the highway, or they would barricade the highway. Also speaking, Gomina Ahmed Kabiro, Chairman, National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS in Kogi, decried the inaction of the federal and state government over the continuous killing of students on the highway. Ahmed Kabir said that the authorities should not blame the students if they blocked the highway to drive home their demands in putting a stop to the killings. Samuel Oyedeji, Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps, Kogi, expressed sadness over the tragedy.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. This is Global News on Signature TV. The Ijaw Youth Council Central Zone has urged the federal government and the National Assembly to increase the budgetary allocation to the Niger Delta Development Commission. Pere Kosifa Inefe, chairman of the IYC Central Zone, said this will enable the commission to carry out its ever-increasing mandate in the region. NFM made the appeal on Wednesday when he led other ESCO members, stakeholders, including the Deputy Speaker of the 6th Mobile Parliament, Comrade Collins Okbako, to visit some completed and ongoing projects embarked upon by the Dr. Samuel Obuku-led NDDC. Some of the projects visited include internally displaced persons, IDP camp, roads, class, room blocks, ICT centers, NYSC core members, lodges, all in Bayelsa. The IYC zonal chairman pointed out that this is the first time in history that all the Niger Delta communities are feeling the impact of the commission. He noted that no community in the region has been left behind, while incidences of abandoned projects is now becoming a thing of the past. Mavla Zifunaya, a National Youth Service Corps member serving in the Abura community in ENUGU local government, expressed appreciation to the NDDC for providing a conducive and befitting accommodation. Meanwhile, the Vice President Kashim Shettima says on Wednesday that posterity would judge leaders of the country harshly if they allowed public schools to collapse. Shettima said this at the public presentation of tablets donated by the MTN Nigeria Communications PLC to students of Government Science Secondary School, Piakasa, Maitama, Abuja. He said President Bola Tinubu was passionate about repositioning public schools, adding that the students' loan scheme was designed to allow the children of the poor have access to education. He assured that with partnership of organizations such as MTN, the federal government would continue to do its best to ensure that public schools were better equipped. Shettima said the tablets presented to the students of Government Science Secondary School, Piakasa, Maitama, were part of the 4,600 devices donated by MTN Nigeria for the distribution to students across the 6 geopolitical zones. He expressed President Tinubu's gratitude to the leadership of MTN Nigeria, particularly Dr. Ernest Ndukwe, the chairman of its board of directors, for an incredible act of generosity. The Vice President urged students to use the tablets to broaden their knowledge, sharpen their skills, and prepare themselves for the limitless possibilities ahead. A professor of medicine and consultant cardiologist at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Itukozala, Professor Jones Onwubere, has emphasized the need for academic institutions to strive for excellence, especially in the field of medicine. Professor Onwubere gave the charge at the 16th lecture series and awards of prizes for academic excellence in honor of an emeritus professor of the university, Professor Chukwukwedu Nwokolo, which took place at Okoma Hall of College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, Itukozala in Enugu State. Senior TV correspondent Ugone Owalo was at the event and now reports.
The emeritus professor, Chukwukwedu Nwokolo, was the first specialist physician in the then Eastern Nigeria. He became a member of the Royal College of Physicians, which he earned from Edinburgh in 1953 and was the second Nigerian to achieve the feat. He was also elected a fellow of the prestigious institution in 1961. It was therefore a befitting tribute when the academic community and renowned physicians, medical practitioners, students, and the general public gather in his honor. The theme of the lecture, Maintaining Academic Excellence in Our College of Medicine in the Current State of Our Nation, is very apt, especially now that the profession of medicine is grappling with an excruciating level of brain drain, which is impacting negatively on the country's health sector. The guest lecturer, Professor Onwubere, noted that medicine is not just a science, but an act of caring. He stressed the need for collaborations beyond boundaries in the pursuit of excellence in medicine and the entire health sector. The renowned consultant paid tribute to late Chukwukwedu Nwokolo, whom he said recorded outstanding achievement through interdisciplinary collaboration and pushing the frontiers of medical research, education, and community service.
And University College Hospital, where he served in various capacities, including associate professor and associate dean. But during the Civil War, he led the refugee medical service, traveling extensively within the war-torn area. After the Civil War, he became the first professor and the head of medicine at the University of Nigeria Medical School at the ENUGU campus. And then thereafter became the dean of medicine as well. He was honored by the University of Nigeria as the first professor emeritus, and the then president of Nigeria conferred him with the National Merit Award and also the Order of the Federal Republic, OFR. He received honorary Doctor of Science degrees from the universities of Ibadan and Maiduguri,
Chairman of the occasion, Venerable Professor Ernest Onwasigwe, said the galaxy of personalities at the event was a true reflection of the towering heights attained by the Emeritus Professor Chukwedu Nwokolo during his lifetime.
And we are gathered to remind ourselves of the whole path that this institution is known for and the need to get back to it. And that is what the lecture will give us today. We also want to seize this opportunity to recognize him in terms of academic excellence, and that is why awards of academic excellence to budding academicians will also be given in his honor. We also want to seize this opportunity to thank the Rifite people for giving us such a man.
One of the highlights of the occasion was the award of excellence to some lecturers and students of the College of Medicine. Among the recipients is the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Health Science and Technology, Dr. Ijomilo, who was honored as the overall best lecturer in the College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, ENUGU campus.
Dr. Mrs. Ijoma Ilo hails from Adu Achi, Oji local government area of ENUGU State. She's a proud daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Mark Okonta, Fekbeda Oyin Omaida, South local government area of Abia State. After completing her education at Ido River Girls Secondary School, ENUGU, she attended the School of Nursing and later the School of Midwifery, both at UNTH Enugu State. In her quest for more knowledge, she returned to the University of Nigeria Enugu campus in 2002 for a first degree in nursing. She qualified as a public health nurse with distinction.
Congratulations.
Oh, super good. I feel so good. In fact, this is the first time since the inception of College of Medicine, UNN, that a member of Faculty of Health Sciences, a nurse, is receiving this award. There have been doctors all through. So I feel I have achieved something very, very great.
A former dean, College of Medicine, Professor Emmanuel Ejim, described the award as the moral booster.
So it is a thing of joy that Ijoma, who is from the Faculty of Health Sciences, for the first time is winning it outside the faculties in the medical sciences. The only word I think I have to tell, I mean, for her to have got to this stage means that she has been working hard. But she just has to continue working harder so that in the next few years she becomes a professor. That's what every academic aims to be.
I feel excited, I feel elated. In fact, IJ is someone that puts her mind to everything she wants to do, and she's diligent, so it's a well-deserved award.
President of Signature TV, Vim Martin Obiorilo, was highly elated at the choice of the wife as one of the recipients.
I feel very proud. She consistently, brings pride to our family in the way she has done her work, in the way she has pursued her academic work. And it's something that I find very rewarding.
Excellence in the field of medicine remains the key to better healthcare outcomes, improved quality of life, and bringing about a brighter future for future generations. Ugonna Owalo, reporting for Signature TV.
Justice Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has turned down the request of the embattled National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Anyanwu, to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from giving effect to the removal as Secretary of the party. The judge ordered Anyanwu to put INEC and other defendants in his new suits on notice to appear in court to enable him to hear their sides. Anyanwu on Wednesday approached the Federal High Court with an ex parte application praying the judge to restrain INEC or any of its agents from receiving or giving effects to correspondences and written submissions that emanated or may emanate from the PDP except those signed by him. In the application argued by his counsel, Anyanwu also asked Justice Ekwo to restrain Ambassador Umar Damagum from forwarding any correspondence, documents, or written submissions to INEC unless they are signed by him. After hearing the submissions of the plaintiff, Justice Ekwo, in a brief ruling, held that after reviewing Anyanwu's affirmance in support of his suit, he was convinced that the case of urgency was established. The judge, however, said that he would not grant a request of the plaintiff through an ex parte application, but would prefer to hear from the defendants before issuing any order. He therefore ordered Anyanwu to put INEC and Damagong on notice regarding the existence of the new suit to enable them to appear in court and have their sides heard. Justice Ekwo directed the plaintiff to serve the court's processes on the two defendants and fixed February 24th for the case to be heard. Meanwhile, the Benue State House of Assembly has slammed a 3-month suspension on 13 of its members for their indulgence in what the Speaker described as dishonorable actions capable of casting aspersions and causing acrimony in the House. The 13 suspended members are to refund the monies paid to them for foreign trips to government coffers, since they will no longer be embarking on the journey. The House also condemns in stronger terms the dishonorable actions of the member representing Makurdi South constituency, Douglas Akia, and 12 others, some of whom, after voting for the removal of the State Chief Judge, Justice Maurice Ikpambase, went out to address a press conference denying voting in favor of the motion to remove the judge. The Speaker of the House, Chief Hyacinth Audona Dajo, listed those suspended to include Douglas Akia, Makurdi South, Jonathan Abide, Kasina Ala East, Becky Opin, Boko East, Simon Gabo, Oshongo Mata, Williams Otium, Agasha, Ona Blessed, Uju1, and Elias Audu Gwe East. Others are Anyo Mato Kwande East, Manga, Taka, Solomon Gila, Gwe West, Samuel Agada, Obadibo, Abraham Jabi Buruku, and Ezra Nyonyongo Ukum. Earlier in the motion, the majority leader, Sieta Tiese, recalled that they had in the last sitting received complaints from the Attorney General detailing allegations of gross misconduct, abuse of office, bribery and corruption, and other sundry allegations against the embattled Chief Judge, and after exhaustive deliberations, the House went into a division where 23 members and out of 31 present voted in support of the recommendation to remove the judge. Tese disclosed that after the House adopted resolution on the matter, the 13 suspended members, some of which voted in support of the recommendation to remove Justice Ikpambase, publicly dissociated themselves from the process in which they took part, thereby contravening Order X Rule 58 of the House Standing Rules. The Jigawa State Judicial Service Commission has sworn in 19 newly appointed Sharia court judges, alkalis, in a formal ceremony held at the Judicial Complex in Dutse. The Director of Publicity and Protocol for the State Judiciary, Abbas Rufai Wangara, confirmed the appointment in a statement issued to newsmen. They noted that the new alkalis underwent a rigorous selection and training process to ensure their expertise in Islamic law and their commitment to justice. Speaking at the ceremony, the Chief Judge and Chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, Umar Sadiq, charged the newly appointed judges to discharge their duties with diligence, fairness, and impartiality. He emphasized the need for them to uphold the practice of the principles of Sharia law while maintaining integrity and avoiding corruption. Similarly, the Grand Qadi Sani Asali, urged the appointees to remain law-abiding and uphold the ethical standards of their office. He cautioned them against engaging in corrupt practices, reminding them that their conduct would be closely observed by the public. The event, which drew high-ranking judicial officers, judiciary staff, and family members of the appointees, marked a significant milestone in the state's efforts to strengthen its Sharia court system. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has slammed governors for illegally dissolving and taking over local government administration despite the Supreme Court's judgment, describing the move as a treasonable offense. Fagbemi says this on Wednesday during the opening ceremony of an event organized by the Nigerian Bar Association in Abuja. The AGF, represented by the Director of Civil Appeals, Ministry of Justice, Tijani Ghazali, noted that despite the judgment of the Supreme Court and the provisions of the Constitution guarding against the interference of the state governors in the running of the local government councils, some governors and their states' assemblies continue to dissolve elected local government council without following the provisions of the Constitution. He also accused Attorney General and Commissioners for Justice at the state level of not giving legal advice to their governors and called for a stiff penalty against any governor who continues in such an illegal act. Upper heads. Pope Francis battling pneumonia shows slight improvement, Vatican says. Ukraine's foreign minister, who will defend our rights to exist. Details of these and more after the break. To stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Global News on Signature TV. Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye and his co-accused Obaid Olutale will remain in custody after a court on Wednesday delayed its decision on their sentencing, prolonging their time behind bars. The two arrived at the courthouse under heavy security, with Besigye sitting quietly throughout the proceedings as his lawyer, Arias Lukwago, addressed the court. However, the anticipated ruling did not come, leaving their legal fate uncertain. Speaking to reporters outside the courthouse, Lukwago expressed frustration over the lack of a verdict. The courtroom was packed with supporters, including opposition leader Bobi Wine and Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanyima. Some chanted slogans demanding their release, while one woman held up a sign reading, "Free Uganda, free all political prisoners." The delay has fueled concerns about the opposition supporters and rights groups who view Besigye's continued detention as part of a broader crackdown on dissent by President Yoweri Museveni's government.
Dr. Besigye was brought together with Obaid Olutale this morning under very, unreasonable circumstances. There was an order that he be returned to Luzira without a valid remand warrant. And to make matters worse, we have not been given any idea or clue as to when the decision will be given.
Pope Francis, battling double pneumonia in hospital, is in a stable condition and has shown slight improvement in results from recent blood tests, the Vatican says on Wednesday. The 88-year-old pontiff is undergoing treatment at Rome's Gemelli Hospital, where he was admitted on February 14th after struggling with breathing difficulties for several days. Double pneumonia is a serious infection that can inflame and scar both lungs and makes breathing more difficult. The Vatican had said previously that the Pope had a polymicrobial system or infection, which occurs when two or more microorganisms are involved, adding that he would stay in the hospital as long as necessary to tackle a complex clinical situation. Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen joined dozens of protesters on Wednesday, guided outside the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services headquarters to denounce the cuts to medical research and the National Institutes of Health. The cuts were implemented by the newly created Department of Government Efficiency DOGE, led by billionaire Elon Musk. Protesters, including federal workers and union leaders, met in Washington, D.C. and carried banners reading "Science Saves Lives" and "Facts Matter." Senator Van Hollen criticized what he called an illegal Elon Musk takeover of the government and said lawmakers will take the fight to the courts.
That we cannot survive as a society without the work that scientists, clinicians, and educators do.
Are we going to shut down the illegal Elon Musk takeover of the government? You bet we are. We're going to fight this in the courts. We're going to fight this in the Congress, and there can be no business as usual in the Congress. And we're going to fight this in gatherings like this all over the country. And there's no sugarcoating this. These cuts will kill more Americans. When you conduct research into cancer, into diabetes, into Alzheimer's, into heart disease, and into all the other diseases that plague American families, you are saving lives. And taking that away will result in more Americans dying early and more American suffering.
Over the weekend, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration terminated 1,165 NIH workers. Affected staff was placed on administrative leave starting on Monday. The European Union's top trade official said on Wednesday that the bloc was interested in making mutually beneficial trade deals with U.S. President Donald Trump and was ready to discuss the potential for reducing or eliminating tariffs on motor vehicles and other goods. Maros Sefcovic, Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, told an American Enterprise Institute event in Washington that he would tell Trump administration officials that he hoped to avoid unilateral U.S. tariffs and European retaliations. Trump has said the EU and other countries have troubling trade surpluses with the United States. He has said the country's products will either be subject to tariffs or he will demand that they buy more oil and gas from the U.S., even though U.S. gas export capacity is near its limits.
With regards to EU-US trade relations, the overall picture is very balanced, providing a robust level playing field for businesses on both sides of the pond. The average EU duty on US goods is 0.9%, whereas EU exports to the US face an average tariff of 1.5%. For certain products, the level of duties varies, but tariff peaks exist on both sides. For example, the EU has a peak tariff on cars, while the US has a peak on trucks. In some sectors, US tariffs are higher. For example, US agri-food products face a 3.5 tariff when entering the EU, while EU agricultural products are subject to 5.7% tariff in the US. So given these facts, the EU sees no justification for sudden unilateral tariff increases by the US. Therefore, to protect European interests, we will have no choice but to respond firmly and swiftly. But we do hope to avoid this scenario, meaning the unnecessary pain of measures and countermeasures, and remain committed to constructive dialogue.
That's the news this hour. I'm Charles Pius. Thanks for watching. Join me in another 5 minutes for the morning show. Just stay with us. So Anambra State is going beyond the guns. They are arresting native doctors, especially the ones that are not registered, because they feel that they're becoming the root cause of the insecurity that that state is facing. So, but then, to what extent? So many persons have said it's a welcome development. Some others have said that, well, you cannot legislate tradition. To what extent? Welcome, everyone. This is a morning show. And it is, of course, a beautiful Thursday morning from wherever you're watching us from. We are Signature TV, and we're broadcasting live from ENUGU, Southeast Nigeria. I'm Charles. Let's begin on the front pages of the dailies. We begin on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust, Ocean Council's crisis deepens as sacked chairman take over local governments. Ocean Council crisis deepens as sacked chairman take over local governments. Can you sack local government chairman in today's constitution, today's Nigeria as is constituted. Well, I'm sure that we've seen reactions from several quarters about that development. Why we engage another service provider for 2025 Hajj, says Narcon. Visa denial. Nigeria won't tolerate disrespects from any country, says the CDS. Federal government to buy 60,000 litre fuel tankers from roads March 1st. Interesting headline. With the rider policy will cost trucks owners 300 billion naira, says NATO. 172 oil truck accidents, 1,896 deaths reported since 2009. AGF to governors sacking elected local government chair is treason. Man kills friends after serving him meal. Battle of Wheats, Lagos, other state assemblies involved in speakership crisis. Senate summons NSA, DSS, NIA over USAID terrorism funding allegation. Aid agencies officers have no business in Nigeria if found to be true, says Akpabio. And now over to the Punch newspaper this morning. Above the masts, visa. Again, CDS defends handling of Canadian visa application. CBN probes 19.7 million dormant bank accounts. Dangote, NNPCL refineries not supplying 50% local fuel demand, says federal government. Dangote, NNPCL refineries not supplying 50% local fuel demand. This is coming from the federal government. Federal government demands $81 billion from Binance for alleged tax evasion. USAID Boko Haram controversy. Nigerian may miss $603 million funds. Senate summons service chiefs. Borno asks federal government to lead probe. USAID's 2025 budget targets defense, health, and others. All the details you can find on the Punch newspaper. Local government autonomy, CBN, 774 chairmen differ over council's account opening. Policemen, complainants arrested over newlyweds' deaths in custody. All the details you can find on the Punch. Now to the Guardian. On the Guardian this morning, AGF, EFCC talks tough. Caution governors, local government bosses on treason and fraud. Ohaneze, Asaba of Asaba, Wogu, others mourn Clark and Adebanjo. Nigeria secures 1.6 billion naira AI investments from Microsoft. Akpabio meets Tinubu as Senate summons intelligence chiefs over USAID's terrorism claims. Don't let Oshun descend into chaos, Speaker Olajen Bessie tells Tinubu and APC. Lagos Assembly denies mass defection rumors. Federal government bans 60,000 litre petrol tankers as accidents claim 3,500 lives. And now to the Daily Times newspaper. On the Daily Times this morning, terrorism. Senate summons Ribadu security chiefs over alleged USAID funding. NJC voice purported sack of Benue chief judge by House of Assembly. Two suspected kidnappers of Anambra lawmaker escape from custody. This is a funny story. Gambari outlines peace pass for Africa. PDP accuses IGP of plot to assassinate Governor Adeleke. All right, over now to the Blueprints newspaper. On the Blueprints, USAID, Senate summons NSA, DSS, NIA, DIA over Boko Haram sponsorship. Osun local government crisis, reinstated APC chairman, take over amidst tension. One OSIEG against Saturday poll, PDP alleges assassination plots on Adeleke. Reps weighed in, lawyer cautions on anarchy. 600 billion naira projects excites Kebbi APC party pledges support for Tinubu. Fiscal autonomy, YCBN hasn't commenced direct release of funds to 774 local government areas. Documentation, customer due diligence delaying process, says Apex Bank. Implementation committee yet to submit reports, says federal government. FAN deploys anti-explosive devices across airports. Afenifere, Ohaneze, Sanwo-Olu, mourn Clark. NECO accredits more schools in Equatorial Guinea. Supreme Court quashes Ganishi order against CBN. And now to the Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria sues Binance for $81.5 billion economic tax losses. Illegal dissolution of local government treasonable, says AGF. Alleged funding of Boko Haram by USAID. Senate invites NSA, NIA, DSS chiefs. Kyari dispels feels quality rumor, says it's bad marketing antics. Kyari dispels field quality rumor, says it's bad marketing antics. Edo Assembly sacks all political appointees. Kebbi APC holds rally, declares support for Tinubu. Adopt Idris for second term. President has been fair to all, says Bagudu. Oshun Assembly condemns takeover of local government secretariats by APC. And that's it on the front pages on the dailies this morning. We're headed over to the other side of the table. Chris Manuka is standing by. Good to have you. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Charles.
How do you do?
I'm going to be better by the grace of God. I hope you're also doing well.
I'm good, but not for some of these crazy headlines that we're seeing. I mean, the two persons that was apprehended over the death and killing of a lawmaker in Anambra State have escaped from custody.
Did they escape or were they released? And there are certain things that we should bury our heads in shame and not talk about it. There are certain things I feel very ashamed to get involved in discussing. Why are we keep telling ourselves lies? Why should Nigerian police not even quench that story and then tell us other lies that are creative? Why I think there should be about 6 or 7 culprits or alleged killers, and 2 just escaped. They're testing the ground, because very soon all of them will escape. And that's the kind of sad reality.
I mean, is this supposed to be, do you think it's political? Is that something that we're not seeing with it? Because again,
there's no smoke without fire in Nigeria. That is it. Because when a big man dies, you saw the viral video of the anti-tout, another group of security deployed in Anambra State. They went to a location where the body of Azuka, of blessed memory, the honorable member of the house that was killed. And they were combing the forests there. Saw many bodies dumped there. Some of them, they can determine when they were dumped there and nobody cared. And some people took interest in looking for Azuka because it's a little elevated as an honorable member of the house. And that led them to that venue. The security forces cannot deny they don't know that place exists. It's just a connection between Obosi and Asaba in the new Niger Bridge, second Niger Bridge. At a certain point, it becomes very, very isolated, and you hardly find, only vehicles can pass there. So there is a breeding ground for all these people. So when the anti-tout were showing that Vera video, they showed a lot of decaying carcasses of human bodies in that place. And that was where the body of Azuka was found. And it get to this point. So your suspicion is not, because Nigeria is where anything can happen. So it leads Nigerians to think of everything possible. So you may not rule out that some hands of some big people are involved, and once they're involved in crime, they can go to any extent to compromise the process. I'm sorry that Nigerian police, at this point, after so much noise, there are some of these cases I am sure that has happened in the past, but because it didn't come to limelight, you could deal with it. Now that the case has gotten to limelight, they still, with all audacity, bring this shame. And they are looking for who will tell Nigerian police. Is this another plot to show how you have failed? Let it not be what we are thinking. We don't want to think it was that way. We just believe something is, they're just joking. Because if they test this ground, and then the whole issue about the fight, what that Governor Soludo in Anambra State is trying to do, is messed up. You know, remember the Lucky Dube's music? It takes 200 million, it takes 240 billion Nigerians to set things right. But take the stupidity of just one man to mess the whole of those things up. I'm sure Among Nigerian police, like every other organization, even in our homes, we have the bad eggs. But how long can we remain in Nigeria and allow bad eggs to keep messing up what we have all agreed is bad we are fighting? Who would like to die like Azuka? So when you are a native doctor making juju for diarrhea and cholera and all those running stomach related diseases, among all the DBS in Anambra State, I don't know which of them that specialize in that. Now the question is, where did you keep your nyash? Upstairs? You are involved. Throw the stone into the marketplace. Just because, you know, of hardship and hunger, people, Nigerians have sold their souls. If you look at the headlines, things you see happening. Before now, I was flipping through the WhatsApp. You get confused. There's a house help tied the owner of the house down, demanding 200,000 naira. The wife escaped and called security. Just was going through that as we were looking at the headlines. Might not be in the headlines because this is an issue. You see this thing happen every day. See, when Nigerians can get to the point of inflicting some kind of satanic devilish harm on their fellow Nigerians. And of course, you say Nigerians against Nigerians. In most cases, then these people that are doing this may not even be Nigerians. And that leads us to the issue of Nigeria is a complicated one. So you don't even know where to start. You just wake up and you're floating. If you get back home at the end of the day, you give thanks to God. If not, another man will write your story and the headlines. Man met his death. That's the headlines going on the streets. Man kidnapped, man butchered, woman killed husband. This one, woman cut off the manhood of a husband. You know, these kind of stories and stories that mess up your psyche fill Nigerian news space. And we think the children that are growing up seeing this, that they will have their mental health when they grow up into adult will be right. There was one time in Anambra State, it was during the days of the Bakassi boys. I was managing a media house in Anambra. The way these people operate, some small kids will be running around following Boko Haram because once their pickup van passes, you see people who they are tied and they're just going looking for four corner roads where they will bring them down in the black daylight, cut off human being, you play football with the human being, set the body on fire, and then drive off, go to another joint. And people were hailing them. Now, when I was a student, as a theater artist, we were studying the psyche of, we were even acting drama of the children of war. What brought armed robbery? What brought, at the point it was, now this is, we are perpetuating even beyond the war. The war was, you face me, I face you, a shoot, if you die, you die. And some of those things were not celebrated. But we celebrate violence, wickedness, devilish actions in the name of so many things. And nobody cares. And it's rolling and rolling and rolling, gathering moss every day. What do we want God to do for us? When we clearly set ourselves on the path of hell, and we're very close to it. Every morning I come here and talk about this, and then say, God help Nigeria. What am I mocking God? Nigerians are clearly choosing a path of destruction, and self-destruction is the easiest way to do. If somebody wants to kill you, you can try to defend yourself if you succeed. But when people have decided to destroy themselves, that's where we are. And it's not as if anybody deliberately wants to blame anybody. We, as Nigerians, have a share in what is happening. Remember my story of ENUGU. It's potent every day. Let's move on, Charles.
All right. There's still other headlines that are quite interesting, out of the delays this morning. Federal government is barring 60,000 litre fuel tankers from March 1st, just to reduce the incidence of, this tanker explosion. I mean, it doesn't really stop
until they bring the rails back. It's a good move. As some of these billionaires who are counting only money, they're not counting life lost, are looking at what it will cost them. The vehicle, what do you call them, accelerated vehicle market, the tankers, 21 tires, 60-liter capacity tankers that are being imported in this country, the truck heads that carry them, that will in this country, are so much, and they are occupying Nigerian roads. Let us have the smaller ones we can manage, because over time, the government cannot be wrong in this. Over time, you hardly see these 30-liter tankers somersaulting, exploding into fire. It's always this one that can clear a whole state whenever it explodes. So you cannot see an issue and talk about it. It will cost us something. But then if that's the best way, let us reduce and see again. When the rails come back to Nigeria, we can transport this by rail. Rail is what the other countries of the world use to transport this thing across. Why should human beings in Nigeria elbowing their ways in the Nigerian highways with, at times you driving, you find whenever there's a little hiccup on the road, you find these tankers back to back for the next 100 meters, assuming something happened. And sometimes I told you, let it not be that the terrorists also have decided to be using that. In Nigeria, you can't rule out anything. The security forces know. And then we've come to a highway that a little hiccup, if it's not police or the army checkpoint, has stopped all the vehicles. And in 5 minutes, the whole route, and you find these tankers line up, elbowing and struggling for road space with smaller vehicles. Assuming something happened there. Not to talk about when they are on their own, if something happened, tire explosion or something, and then they just find themselves turning over and then spilling. Anywhere that liquid touch. I'll tell you a story, historical story of what happened at Opiweka one time. Descending, going towards River Niger at Opiweka, the liquid followed the sewage system, the gutter, and went into the markets, because the gutter were directed through the inside for the water to go to River Niger. That's how the tanker that came, 60-liter tanker, fell at Opiweka and set almost half of Onitsha on fire, because anywhere the liquid touched, it was the fire, when the fire starts. So, we are not saying, no, we're not saying that you can weigh, when the evils are so much, you can begin to weigh them. 60,000 bomb, 60,000 capacity tanker that the bomb, what he would do, 30,000 can do less. That's my ordinary man thinking. Those ones who let also them not allow the Nigerian rail system breathe. Because sometimes we are told that these truckers, these owners of haulage system, they do not want Nigerian rail system to work. And you start imagining, and you can't rule it out. They have interest. Go to somewhere where they park some private garages, where they park these accelerated vehicles owned by one man. All of them on Nigerian road. And they don't pay anything extra. Whatever they pay on the road is bribe, another thing linked to bribe and grease. Anywhere they come, some touts will stop them, collect something, and they move. And every day they are shouting about Nigerian roads. Who has considered building Nigerian roads to carry such weight on daily basis? Nigerian government will bring and monitor the road today. The next morning it's all spoiled, and we are calling government. Why we have people who have been allowed in this system without paying tax? And without paying enough for what they make, selling home, and the poor keep getting poorer, while they think the rich will keep getting richer. Someday that narrative will change. Yes, it will change by force or fire.
All right, AGF is warning governors that it's treasonable to dissolve local government chairman.
And this is the second time AGF is saying that.
When
we started this process of LG autonomy, federal government led and we are supported. But at the point, it's like federal government now is only talking and not doing.
What can they really do? The governors have immunity. You can't just arrest them.
Which one?
Anybody.
It's not arrest.
Maybe
they have a court. Why has the AGF not sued all the... Imagine when it's a case between you and AGF and in the Supreme Court of a governor who have the audacity to dissolve elected, who made him judge? And you have AGF. Are you saying the AGF cannot sue a governor because it's immunity?
But that's my problem.
Yeah.
Why is it that the AGF is telling us that, you know, it is treasonable? Why is it telling the governor? Why is it not, you know, engaging the law?
Some of them
might
be ignorant because you know how Nigeria works. Nigeria is a place where every underdog is right. Even when the underdog is trying to bite out your manhood. Once you begin to raise a mallet to hit the underdog, the AGF is fighting the governors. Why are you the governors? Because if you talk for the fly, you talk about the man who has the wound. It's only who has the wound. You remember when we were small, growing up in the village, when you have a wound by football, you wouldn't want to hide it from your parents. It's only flies following you around and your mama will say, Charles, this one flies, they follow you around. I hope you don't have wound. So when you talk about the fly, you talk about the man who has wound. Why? Why is always talking from the federal government? Or don't the governors have conscience? What are they fighting the local government for when they have not finished chewing what they have? You have elephant meat on your head. You are using your feet to scratch the ground for cricket. People are knowing you need to what up and our purpose. Oversight function, you are still the owner of the local government. But just because you want to suppress and weaponize poverty, so that all roads lead to State House. If all roads are also leading to local government houses, it will reduce the pressure on you. It's all the greediness and blindness of the governors. And no one will stop saying it. They know. The little time in the past we have local government function, Nigeria had massive level of development.
Absolutely.
Now, look at what's happening. All the State House of Assemblies are cocooned and put in the pocket of the governors. So nothing happened. Every of them were running around the government house, around the state houses, around the capital cities, and then the exteriors of the state, wallowing in poverty. No mind why everybody want to come to the state capital to stay. Look at the rent. Look at the rent in Enugu.
Mm.
For instance, because I am a loud-mouthed native doctor, I don't do juju for thieves. Yes, if you want to ask the governor of Anambra, if you're looking for all the native doctors who are making juju for the thieves, I am one of them that make juju for only the right people to cure their malaria, and I don't make juju for Okite, to Ibobo, and to go and make money fast and then disappear when you have committed crime. It's not because I'm loud-mouthed. You know, once I'm doing that, my neighbors will know. So I am saying the governors are greedy with the LGA. Let them allow them to breathe. For once, let even Nigerians see. For once, let the local government fail on their own, and we can now hold them accountable. So that at the end of it, they won't say, Adam, where are you? He said, I'm my state governor. Let it be at this time, you call Adam, you say, I'm here, my Lord. What did I do wrong? He said, you chop all the money they gave you for local government, come and account. Then we get Nigerians into this fight. We will move forward for once. Let us begin to become considerate. If Nigerians after together say local government autonomy is good, why should it be 36 human beings who are not better than others because they have opportunity to be governors are standing causing confusion is distraction? Because at any time we want to move forward, one satanic man will come and build destruction. Why should you put money to organize local government election, and the state money of the people were supposed to carry for their development, and in a few days or weeks' time, you dissolve. And when you dissolve, evidently you are planning to organize another election if pressure comes. Because some of them will dissolve and still want to go back to caretaker committee.
Yeah.
You see? So, we run around circle of doom, expecting that we move, and we are the people who drive ourselves round and round and round and round, not moving forward. And they are happy because they are, you know, the man who has a good penis doesn't know what the man suffering hernia is suffering. They won't know. And the people around them don't tell them the truth. That's a proverb of bonus. The people that govern us, that are in power, don't know what some of us that are down there at the wretched of the earth are suffering. And we keep crying. People are dying. Charles, hike in fuel, hike in telecom, hike in electricity, hike in the price of food, hike in taxation, hike hospital bills, hike everywhere,
Drugs.
hike, drop everything, and they're still planning to hike more. Don't they have heart? Are they not human beings? Because if there are issues, we can gradually, people have squandered Nigerian money in the past. Even some of them that are in position of authority went to school on scholarship. Not by government, by some missionaries. People put money together, did it, and then got there. When they now cross over, their case become the case of Onyega Feogwe, when you cross the Rubicon, and then you look back and say, just throw away the bridge. That's what's happened. How many of them in position of authority that have gone to school with the contributions of people, missionaries and charities, that are looking back to the poor and wretched people who cannot? When you're moving on the street, you see children. Some of them have 4 children still in primary school. In the morning, they wake up carrying empty bag without food. You have to transport them from one location to another at nothing less than 400 naira per child, going and coming for child. Times it by 4 children going to primary school, they have to go. You have not talked about the food they will eat and the other welfares and told little things the school will ask them to contribute. The head teachers will ask for toilet roll and soap as a handwork. What an irony in life. And that's what parents carry. The parents who is carrying this is probably staying at home, unemployed. Doesn't wake up in the morning, look up, doesn't know where, what, he says he's in Nigeria. Ask him where he is, he forgets. Before he remember he's in Nigeria. He doesn't know anything that will happen next. You can't predict, even at that hunger and hardship level, his life is not safe. If tanker does not fall down, explode, and clear the whole village, the terrorists will kidnap you and ask for your ransom. If it doesn't come too early, they kill you, kidnap, and they harvest your organ and sell, and the rich people will buy the organ. Because when we're talking about this kind of thing, if these people, they say they harvest organs and kill people every day, who do they sell it to? They must have a syndicate of rich people who are involved in all those stories that sound like things you hear in the dream. You will say, is this Nigeria? God, please. Some people are praying. And one time, somebody was saying it as a joke. Somebody said, destroy this world, it's time. And the small children said, no, God, don't destroy it. We've not had that one time. That is one of the things I know saying, God, let your will be done. For this country, Senate invited NSA, a DSS chief over alleged Boko Haram by that's where. Why are you inviting them now? Are the heads of NSA, NIA, DSS, when this thing happened, are they the people now? Can you stoop in a sheet? You did not cheat.
Well, I mean, it's their office. They can trace back some documents.
When this kind of thing happens, that's why you have continuing in government. Is that why is doing this kind of thing happen? You say continuing in government, And look at the amount they say Nigeria may miss, over $603 billion from help from if these things are not done. This is the time. Nigerians run when the rain has drenched their body, soul, and spirit. They don't run at the earlier stage. And by the way, when such help come, you can't determine the hand where you enter. When somebody said he's helping you and they throw away money for you, everybody scampers. Because you are not in control of the money, some things can escape into the hand of even people that are not supposed to have it. So all these ones are medicine after death. If they want to now build our house in order, I want to build a bridge across, I'll ask Trump and all the international community to help us. We can only guarantee them by being accountable that the money they are bringing to help us to solve the issue of water, sanitation and hygiene, issue of malaria, issue of governance, issue of agriculture, will not fall into the hands of the bad ones. That's all assurance we need to build now. But if it had happened in the past, you are setting up committee to review and all that, without yield us, you can only open up more cans of worms that even may turn the heart of those people not to even look away again. They can see, I gave you help in the past, you have used it for this. And you're asking me for another help. Charles, we can call it a day here. God help us. We can't stop talking about it.
Thank you so much, Chris Monica, for your insights. Truly appreciate it. All right, we're back shortly after this, so stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your
Me too, I'm also a graduate, and since I graduated, things has been so much very hard, because in this country today, if you don't have someone in the government or in upper, all these things, you find it difficult to get a job. Even when you merit it, it will still be difficult for you. So as it stands now, not only the youth, the whole country is facing challenge of hardship, you understand, because even our age parents that spend their hard-earned money to train us, expecting us to be training them back at this time of their old age, still we have nothing to offer them because of the country in it. But I wouldn't say that we are going to relent. We still we continue to push harder, even if it is learning handwork in order to earn a living, because I know that certainly one day that certificate is going to bring work, and a better one at that.
The level of unemployment in Nigeria is maximum. There is nothing to talk about it. The government are not doing anything. See youths, every time they will graduate, no work. After graduation, it seems that those people that even left school to learn skills, they are even better than us that are graduates.
I don't believe there is unemployment. There is no unemployment in Nigeria.
being a Nigerian makes you unemployed. What do I mean by that? For me, I can't be unemployed. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a chef. So I started cooking from a tender age. I learned it from my mom, then I furthered into catering school. So I feel the parental upbringing should also help in curbing unemployment. So I don't think there is unemployment. Anybody that is unemployed in Nigeria just chose to be unemployed.
Welcome back. This is the morning show here on Signature TV. It's 8:40 a.m. in Nigeria. We are in the southeastern part of the country. Hope you're good out there. We will be switching gears to talk about the climate change and adaptations, and of course our preparedness. Climate change is, just simply put, your actions, my actions, that affects the environment. It is apparently what you give the environment that it gives back to you. How are you treating the environment that you live in? Are you treating it cool? Are you treating it good? The environment can harm you if you don't treat it right. Very important. All right, we have with us an environmental expert, Dr. Isaiah Aboyi. He is live on Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning in the studio. Good morning, Nigerians. You're welcome.
How do you do this morning?
How's
the weather there?
I'm okay. Yes, we are okay. We are okay here. Thank you. Thank you for the program. Thank you for calling on me.
We've seen some predictions from NIMET over the last few weeks, especially as it concerns this year. How should we be preparing for what the climate would give us this year, 2025?
Yes. Based on the current latest NIMET predictions, they were saying that we expect rains from March, late March, but they counted some states in Nigeria, which include ENUGU, part of North Central, and even Bayelsa, and Rivers, some states in the southern part of the country, that those states will have a late rainfall, delayed rainfall. Yeah, that is a good information and a good alert for preparedness. Because to start with, our weather, we have all known that there is a significant change in our weather. I think we need to start to let our listeners be carried along to really know this climate change we are talking about. No, yes, it has been a recurring decimal. We have been speaking about it, but it is still good that we highlight what it is all about, so that maybe those who are listening for the first time will know actually what we are talking about. Yes, if you allow me, I will explain climate change as the situation whereby our temperature, the temperature of our environment, our surrounding temperature and humidity changes significantly and over a long period of time. It has a significant implication in the vegetation and our life as a whole, because the vegetation around us is determined by the temperature, the ambient temperature, and the availability of humidity. When there is no rain and the temperature is high, then plants and vegetables, crops, trees tend to grow less. And that is what now moves to where we start having desertification and reduced vegetation. That is areas that used to be mangrove, that used to be Sahel savanna, will now begin to migrate to deserts and less of plants. And when we have this less of plants everywhere getting dried up, definitely even our crops, what constitute our food and economic plants and trees, begin to reduce. and that tends to start having issues of famine. The other aspect of the consequences of this change in our weather condition, that is the change in temperature and humidity, could be the extreme side of it, where you now have too much of water, too much of rain, too much of causing flooding, where our environment, the surface land will become flogged. It takes over by water. And that as well have consequences on our lives, because as well our food and water supply will be adversely affected, and it has a lot of consequences on us. And I think that it is on this knowledge that NIMET will always inform, because Nigeria has become part of the belt where the climate change always, it impacts on us seriously, because I think every year we do have issues of flooding. And continually, Nigeria is now being affected by this water, the other end of the effect of climate change, which I described as desertification. So the areas where plants and vegetables and trees grow in Nigeria are reducing. I think if we have time, with all the impacts that are associated with all this, is this migration, the herders now looking for pasture. And because the parts of the north where they used to, which is the natural abode, is continually getting out of this pasture. So they move downwards and follow the pasture, because you follow the food. It is where the food exists that you go and so that you keep feeding your animals and keep getting the economic benefits associated with it. So, and that's why they are moving downwards. And as they move, they impact and interfere with the food growing part of the country, where you now see a lot of issues of farmer and herders clashes. All these issues are associated with the climate change, which is a change in the rainfall and a change in ambient environmental temperature. So I believe that it is on this, how to control the effects associated with it, that NIMET will always inform us ahead of time. See what you are expecting, see what you are going to get to, so that we start making arrangements, we become prepared. We now have to start making, what is our preparedness measures? What are we taking? What are we putting in place so that this will not catch us napping and maybe cause more devastating effects? It is I think all these are in line, because with this good information that NIMET has released ahead of time, we will now start getting prepared. I think that is the crux of your question. So I think having given this background, let us now, we can now choose and pick from any area, whether further explanation or what we need to do, the adaptation and preparedness. So I think you can now put your question so that we'll become more directional in answering it. Thank you.
All right. You can't really talk about climate change without talking about human activities. I mean, how much of that do we even know? Because again, climate doesn't just change. Things happen. There are reasons why climate change. Do you think Nigerians even know that their activities affect climate, and to what extent? And what should we be doing at this time?
Good. That is exactly the point where to start. Because this climate that changes, yes, at times it could be natural, but many a time it is aggravated by our activities, by the activities of men. Yes, like I did say, lack of rain, that rains no longer come, as in you don't have enough rain as it used to be, was as a result of the issues of this climate change. There is a trigger. What triggers climate change is what we talk about, the greenhouse gases and the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse gases, like we talk about the carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon, nitrous oxide, these, when they are emitted into the atmosphere, will eventually lead to this climate change issue we're talking about. And the release of this carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon, nitrous oxide, is associated with use of what we call natural gases. That is a natural carbon deposit in the ground. Use of hydrocarbons, petroleum. That's what do you call it? This petroleum in the ground. Natural, all this natural carbon, the cutting of trees. Fossil fuel is the word I was trying to remember. Use of fossil fuels, which include petroleum, kerosene, green plants that use all these use in cooking and in fueling our industries. So all these actually emit a lot of carbon dioxide in the air. And when this carbon dioxide go into the air, they facilitate this climate change we are talking about. So it is important for us to understand that these trees, because these days, because of high cost of gas, cooking gas and kerosene, people tend to switch and non-availability of electricity, that's power from NEPA or EEDC as the case may be. So because of this lack of other sources of energy, you find out that we now tend to switch to these natural fossil fuels by cutting down trees to make charcoal. And what we do not know that as we do this, we are further depleting the reservoir that absorb this carbon dioxide and replenish the earth with oxygen. When we cut down trees, green trees, these mangrove forests, they actually help us to mop up, because eventually people must exist. There must be relatively companies that use this fossil fuel and release carbon dioxide. But nature made this in such a way that these green trees, these trees that we plant around us and in the forest, they constitute reservoir that mops up this carbon dioxide so that it doesn't get into the air to trigger this climate change. But when our activities are targeted and focused on cutting down these trees without replacement, because that is the important thing, we have to live. If we require to have some trees like timber that we use for our to build our houses, we have to make deliberate efforts to replace them. But these days, we do not even think about replacement. The only thing we do is to go to the forest, make sure we deplete, cut down, use for timber, use for firewood and other activities, our furniture and every other thing, without replacement. There is a high tendency of now the real estate managers and businessmen, their interest is get into any farmland, any land, clear, build estates. And there is no way they try to make sure that they replace all these trees. So the use of these trees, cars burning, industries firing, will consume this fossil fuel and release quantums of carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbon. Chlorofluorocarbon comes mostly from our refrigerating system. The refrigerator in your house, in your car, in all the cooling systems, they release this chlorofluorocarbon, continuously emitting into the environment without any measure of taking it out. These actually aggravate the issues of climate change. I am concentrating on these factors because that is what is obtainable in our climate here. Abroad, they are really very much industrialized, and a lot of these greenhouse effects gases are being emitted in a large number. That's even the European Union and has on all these international health agencies have been talking about giving mandates, giving deadline, giving emission standards, but more often than not, all these are exceeded without actually a reasonable consequences for that. And that is why we have climate change in our hands, and all the resultant effects, we are living with them. So we encourage that while you try to pursue your economic needs, make sure that as you are cutting trees, you are replacing them one way or the other. So as you build your house, don't always cut all the trees around you, so that these trees actually help to sustain life and mitigate the issues of climate change.
All right. I mean, there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to climate change.
Yes.
How do you think technology can be leveraged, in helping communities adapt to climate change? Put that side by side with the fact that we have a new leader who really doesn't believe in anything called climate change. I'm talking about the president of the United States, Donald Trump. I mean, do you think his emergence as the president of the United States, at least for the next 4 years, would, deplete some of the advantages or successes that have been recorded around the world as regards the agreements across boards that has been reached in different fora? He planning to even dissociate the United States from those agreements. Do you think that we would have a setback regarding that? And of course, put it side by side with how technology can be used in checking climate change and how societies can leverage technology in adapting to climate change.
Okay, thank you. Your question is very apt. I think I will answer it in two folds. I'll first of all start on how technologies can be leveraged in climate change adaptation and remediation. Yes, technology is actually helping, because as a matter of fact, it is the deployment of technology that NIMET was able to predict and to some good extent successfully what the rain pattern will be this year. And when you now, with that kind of technology to predict what will happen, you begin now to prepare. When the rains will be high, you begin to prepare because when the rains are high, you expect flooding. So the issues of how to mitigate, how to control the infrastructural facilities you need to put in place in terms of channels from where the water will drain, the backups you needed, so that, and even where you cannot afford to stop it from coming, you direct that people will have to shift to upper land so that the effect will be minimal. Because once rain drops, it will have to move. It will follow a channel. If you don't provide a channel for it, an adequate channel, that is what will result to flooding and colossal damage. But with the information, assuming we'll put the information into actions, we'll eventually reduce it. So again, technology has come because part of the issues of the consequences of climate change impact can be mitigated by, for instance, farmland is mostly what suffers during flooding. And when these farmlands are destroyed, definitely they will culminate into a shortage of food and famine. Then it will eventually destabilize many economic indices. So technology can help in mitigating this issue, because we can now actually grow plants away from the natural abode. For instance, there are issues. It's a growing trend now that people can plant in baths that are stored in their compound. So it is actually growing. It is actually trending now that you can actually use collect sand and put in your compound to grow yam, can grow maize and some other economic tree. Yes, it is true that it may not be in large quantity, but at least it can be in a substantial portion that can at least minimize what you buy in the market. If many individuals adopt that mechanism, then it means that though it is substancy, but when it reduces what you go to the market to demand, it can it's actually have helped in mitigating the impact of the climate change. So this is technology. Technology is not always about machineries. So once any mechanism that you improve so that it doesn't, you don't actually rely on what nature throws at you. That is a means of, is a method of technology. So there are several ways which technology can actually help in mitigating the impact of climate change. Then when you talk about the issue of Donald Trump, the new leader of United States, actually, that is a cause for concern, because when we look at the position and the role of United States in the global economy and global politics, you understand that it will actually impact on the world. It's unfortunate that Trump tend not to believe in climate change. I don't know how to put it. Maybe it is just part of what somebody can just decide to. He's entitled to his opinion, but what I know is that climate change and its effect is no longer a thing somebody is wondering whether it exists or whether it doesn't exist. It is clear and it is before everybody. But one can decide to choose and say, I don't believe, even when you are clearly seeing it. So the issue is here is that if he do not want to abide by all those regulations the world bodies have put in place, that is exactly what I said in the past, that these regulations and stipulations, people tend to not strictly abide by them without the consequences. So I think the world should try, the world leaders should try to checkmate Trump, because he cannot just say, I don't believe. It is not just a matter of I don't believe. This is science, and it is practical, and it is real. So if he decides not to abide by these emission standards, then he's putting the whole world into jeopardy, because the influence of America is not a simple effect in the world economy. So I feel that the other world leaders should try to put him in check, because I know if he decides not to abide by all these emission standards, definitely it will impact in further deteriorating the effect of climate change the world is suffering. And like I said, this great industrialization actually happened in those developed countries. We are only here, the third world countries, especially Nigeria, we are only at the receiving end, because I don't, if you have to measure and equate the quantum of gases we emit from here, you see that it is highly insignificant compared to what they are emitting here. But the world is a village, because the atmosphere covers all of us. Whatever is emitted, and these are gases. Whatever is emitted anywhere in the world, once it gets into the atmosphere, it circulates around the globe. So the effect we too have are living with it. So we cannot just accept to sit back and say, okay, you don't believe in it, okay, go ahead. No, that should not be how. After all, it now defeats the intent and purpose of forming the World Alliance, because the intent is to protect the world as a whole. So when one is not acting out of that agreement, I think there should be a mechanism of bringing him to check. That's what I think.
All right. How prepared do you think Nigeria is when it comes to things related to adapting to some disasters like flood or even droughts? I mean, the other time we saw a flood from Borno State, and it was really difficult containing it. We saw a lot of people who had lost their lives, lost their properties. I mean, it looked like a very helpless situation at the time. At the time, in fact, there was a dam that's, overrun its shores. But, we've also seen other floods that have, come unannounced, and took us unawares. I'm just wondering, do you think that we have all it takes to mitigate against these issues, floods, droughts, national disasters. Do we have it? And what should we be doing in order to get it if we don't?
Thank you. I think by now, Nigeria haven't been receiving blows of issues of climate change. Even if they used to be adamant, I think by now it should be clearer and getting clear and to them. And I think Nigeria is getting prepared. I continue to say, yes, kudos to NIMET for releasing those predictions, because it is a step in guiding further preparedness measures. Yes, like we all, the memories of the devastation has not gotten out of our minds. What happened, the Ladoja Dam that broke down, and the consequences in Borno and down south of Nigeria, and all that has happened since 2012. Yes, those were our sore moments, and I'm sure, I believe that the federal government and the associated agencies are on top of the situation, making preparations, giving information, and advising the masses. I think where I will say we'll focus more attention is in, because it is said that you talk, but when the person you are talking to, how is he taking the information, and how is he responding to it? I think the masses is what we too, we need to be encouraging to take the advice that is coming from government agencies. If we say we are leaving everything to government, I don't think they may be able to have the capacity to tackle everything. We too need, that's why I'm harping on sensitizing and encouraging the masses to begin to take actions, because eventually this impact rests on us, the masses, the individuals. Government is just a name. No person, no particular individual is a government. So government is just an umbrella body that controls and guides us. And when they give this information, we need to take them and run. To run as in put it in practice and follow through. When they now say that this is what the volume of rainfall we are expecting, this is what is likely to happen, people should not do this, people should not do that, we should try to abide by it. In terms of, because flooding, I still suppose and look forward that it will still happen. It will still happen because the rains may still be as high as it used to be, because the climate change is here. So these effects we're expecting. So those who are, what I think, again, yeah, government has to be doing something, yet we will still be encouraging individuals to do their own role, because there are certain infrastructure that has to be in place that you don't expect individuals to be the people responsible. In terms of having drainage system, how have we, it is not just about letting us know that the rains will be high. The rains will be high. When they come, they will drain. What are the infrastructure that has been put in place to ensure that when the rain comes, it follows through these channels? If we count in the past, when the Cameroonians warned that their dam is over getting out of the carrying capacity, what did we do? We virtually sat back to see how it will come, and it came and it devastated us. So this time around, while the government is letting us know to do the little the individual can do, government as well have to be giving these channels, increasing the bank when there could be embankments on the walls of rivers that we know that are prone to this flooding, so that when the high volume of water comes, it do not need to flood into the community. It follows through the channels. And in the cities, in the towns, we have adequate drainage system deep enough that will carry the expected volume, because when we know the volume of rain that is coming, we can actually predict the quantum of flood that will associated with it. We'll make drainage especially as we build roads, we make drainage that is equivalent to the expected volume of runoff that will go through it. When we make shallow drains, it is as good as nothing because within a twinkle of an eye, for any slightest rain, it will overflow, and that will be the. So, this should be a conscious effort, knowing full well that we are in this belt and we are always facing this flooded, so that when we build our roads, we'll make sure that we have enough drains, because all this will be channeled into the drainage into the seas and move down to the Atlantic Ocean that drains the country. So all these are intertwined. The government has to play their role. The community, us, the individuals, have to play our own role, so that at the end of the day, even when these effects come, the impact on us will be minimal.
Do you think we have driven this information about climate change to the rural communities? Because every now and then, even in the urban centers, you rarely hear hear people speak of it or even discuss it, nudging them to take care of the environment, because it is from taking care of the environment that the climate becomes better. Do you think this information has been cascaded properly to the rural areas? And how so do you think we should embark on education of people in the rural areas, especially where those places where our agricultural produce come from?
Yeah, my brother, I actually see the import of this your question. I do not really think that this information has internalized in the communities. Even though one can say that we pass the information, anybody who hears the news on radio and television must have heard the information, but I think people just hear the information and walk away. This information has not, in one way or the other, completely internalized, because when international information is internalized, it means that people are now conscious and they are taking actions with regards to that climate change issues. So Nigeria is a place where we will just talk and walk away. It has become a seasonal thing that just maybe, yes, I think when it is coming to rainy season, when rainy season is approaching, we'll just make that statement and we'll walk away. And when flood come, we'll shout and we'll walk away. So the way to go about is to make sure that we are not always caught panting or pants down, is to, I don't know, if one begin to talk about another agency or a body that should be carrying out this information, this preaching consistently, and possibly levels of enforcement, we will now begin, one may be accused of trying to say too many agencies. But let me even come from this perspective. I am an environmental health officer, and I know as well, I train environmental health officers in school, in the university where I work. This aspect of task can be given to environmental health officers. Environmental health officers are employed in every local government in Nigeria. They are employed in every state of the country. So they can actually pick up this responsibility if monitored, and as in let it become that this becomes their one of, because they have a lot of other responsibility, but let this becomes one of the responsibility as an emerging trend, because this issue of climate change was not there 30 years, 40 years back. We used to hear about it, but now it is with us. It is now so it is now a matter that the policymakers can now say, yes, take up this, because environmental health officers go house to house, institution to institution, preaching about other environmental issues. So this climate change can be placed at the forefront, so that, from like we said in other fora, when people begin to take actions, not just when the rain comes, but even before the rain comes, from little things like cleaning your environment, making sure you don't block gutters, disposing the waste appropriately, not in channels that even the few channels that government build, people will use their waste to go and block all of them. when you are blocking the water channel, you are actually trying to make the impact of the climate change more devastating on the people. So when this role now is given to environmental health officers employed all over the states, the local government, I think it will penetrate, the information will penetrate, because at every point in time, these people are in the community preaching one aspect of environmental issue to the other. So this one can as well be placed in part of their role to actually penetrate this news, this information, this enlightenment, so that it gets internalized in the people. The people take this as part of their routine activities. We are acting for climate change. By this, people now begin to make conscious efforts to plant trees around their houses. So, and these are part of what necessary things that should be done. It should be done. So, I recommend that these environmental health officers are given this role. If the environmental health officers are not enough to carry out this responsibility in the state's local government, because the whole of this Nigeria has a local government, employ environmental health officers if they are not enough to actually internalize this information, because actually it needs to be internalized. It doesn't have just to be an annual thing when you just come and you shout it and walk away. You shout it and walk away. It's as if anytime we are talking about it, it's as if you are talking it anew. So when there are people, there are institutions that are responsible for internalizing this information, and actually there has to be some level of enforcement. People have to take responsibility for what they do wrong that will impact on the environment and aggravate the issues of climate change. So I seriously recommend that environmental health officers should be given this responsibility and monitored to see how it goes, so that at the end of every year, there will be assessments. How far? What is the impact? What have you been able to do? One can actually take a survey of the whole community and say, what do you know about climate change? What have you done to minimize the impact of climate change? And from this, we will now know whether it is working or not working.
All right. Dr. Isaiah Aboyi, many thanks for your time and your input on the show this morning. We truly, really appreciate you. We hope that these steps are taking, just like you have recommended, in making sure that we save our climate. I mean, if we don't have a climate, I wonder what we'll have, really. Thank you once again for your time. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, when we return from this break, we are going to be switching gears to talk about something quite interesting. We have gay parties, but one political party is gaining much, some others are losing. Well, to what extent, really, do you see that these defections are empowering a democracy or practically tearing it down? That's next.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
There should be a minimal intake of alcohol, not excessive. And for those that are addicted to it, there will be a kind of sensitization towards it, so that they, when someone is addicted to something, stopping it entirely will be very difficult. So when sensitization comes in, the sensitization will basically focus on minimizing it, the intake now. And it's also good to sensitize those that have not embarked on taking alcohol or that are not been addicted to taking alcohol. So all I can suggest is proper and thorough sensitization towards the effect or the consequences of alcohol, or taking alcohol, or too much of alcohol intake that regards or leading to the cancer problem. I think with that can minimize the rapid increase of cancer.
Normally, alcohol is not that bad, but much of it, much of it is bad. So you have to. Alcohol is good for the body in some certain circumstance, but don't take much of it. It's a risk, though. But there are alcohol that is also nutrient. It's a nutrient to the body. For stress, sometimes you need it. Though don't take much of it. That is all.
Honestly speaking, we have to like see how we can incorporate, or should I say, have like a lot of rehabilitation centers, and then also try to see how we can cancel or all this ethanol, all this rubber drinks on the streets. Let's see how we can take them off the streets. It's affecting, and we should do it now. We shouldn't wait for any time. We should do it now.
It has caused a lot of harm than good. So some people will say that they are taking it because of the situation, they find themselves, and maybe the environment, they're not conducive enough, people due to loss of job and all that, and some other frustrated issues. But the truth is that alcohol has never been a remedy to any issue. Yeah. And also, once you continue taking alcohol due to a problem, it increases it. It doesn't reduce it. So my response to it is that, in fact, it's better to mitigate the use of alcohol entirely. And once that happens, people will begin to find solution to their immediate problem other than running to a shop or a bar to get alcohol.
Exactly 2 years from now, we will be inundated with the fever of brand new elections. But of course, before then, there's always going to be the drama, the permutations, the defections, the betrayals, the backstabbing that would happen just before then. And it looks like it's already happening. Yes. So many persons are beginning to, defect from one political party to another. Some are realigning with old foes. Some are aligning with new foes, and some others are, planning to usurp some others. I mean, what don't we know about politics in Nigeria? It's just a potpourri of everything. Betrayal, scandals, defections, and a whole lot of things happened during election period. And I dare say also, but by May next year, every political parties that will participate in the 2027 elections would have known its flag bearers. So whatever happens between now and then, it's going to be just so dramatic. But we have with us live in the studio this morning to talk about these and even more, His Royal Majesty Igwe Chinedu Nwobodo, the traditional ruler. Good to have you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Charles. Good morning, viewers.
So it's, you would say the period of defections. I mean, in football, they call it the transfer window is open. So people move from one place to another at will, So, but then again, we want to talk about it from the premise of our democratic values. So many persons have said, look, our democracy isn't ideological. Our political parties don't have anything to hold on to when it comes to ideology. That's why these defections happen every now and then. And one would wonder, to what extent do you think that these defections or uncontrolled defections affect our democracy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Charles. And once again, good morning, viewers. This defection has a whole lot of impact on our democracy. What of course is defection? It's an abandonment of allegiance, loyalty, or belief in one political party than joining another political party. Now one begins to wonder, how was our political parties formed? Was the formation ideologically based? Taking a cue from United States of America, looking at the two most popular political parties, the Democrats and Republicans, you see that they are controlled by ideologies. A few minutes ago, I overheard you discussing climate change. And you see that Trump, even earlier than now, never believed in that climate change. And he's insisting on it. That is his ideology. And a whole lot of persons thinking like him stayed with him until he is back to the White House 4 years later, after he was won in the 2016 election. So, but when you come to Nigeria, by my assessment, our parties, of course, we have not had a steady party. It's one name there, people coming and going. And you begin to think that what the basis for forming our political parties is personal, selfish anticipation of what you think you get from one window. To me, like in Nigeria today, we have only one bank because of e-banking, ATM. You can use your Union Bank ATM to go and withdraw money from UBA or First Bank, anywhere you are. So you see that we have one bank. And begin to look at our political parties from that angle. Once a particular person cannot get what he thinks he can get from PDP, he joins APC. If he still cannot get it from APC, the Labour Party is there. But something has to be done for an improved democracy, because opposition is a very wonderful ingredient for an egalitarian society. And with what is happening, once the economic benefit is not coming from where the person has been, before the next election, you see them use it as campaign strategy. Mr. A with his 1,000 supporters are leaving Party A for Party B. And all these things are just for politicking. Not that our system is ideological. It's not. It's so clear about that. I agree with people who say that we are yet to have ideologically based political parties or ideologically based democracy. So, and if we don't get it now, of course, our democracy for tomorrow, the future is bleak. It remains what it is. And because it's not ideologically based, once somebody is elected, either as the governor or Mr. President or Mr. Chairman of the local government, the person becomes supreme, much more above the political parties. It becomes a one-man's ideology that Mr. President says. Nobody is there again to implement the political party ideology. It's so unfortunate it is like this, Mr. Charles.
I mean, you know, when you paint it this way, it just looks so, you know, helpless. It just looks like nothing is going to happen, you know, anytime soon. When it's a defection that, you know, the ruling party gains, you know, it tends to be celebrated. One would wonder, really, do they even have any role to play when it comes to ideological-based democratic system? And to what extent, you know, is that to play in our system today? Because so many persons have also blamed the ruling party for the way and manner, you know, that they run the affairs of opposition. You know, Atiku had blamed APC and stated that they pay opposition leaders to the tune of 50 million naira monthly you know, to stay calm or even to control things where they are.
Mr. Charles, let me interject. Let me interject. You know, when I have an issue with somebody, for example, we have been friends over the years, and we've never exchanged hurting words between us. And if by tomorrow I see you, Mr. Charles, tell me this stupid man can sit down, I start from introspection. Have I behaved in a way that caused Mr. Charles to see me as stupid? If the answer is no, that is when I will approach you. That is even when I begin to talk about you. Let me tell you, if you have an ideology you believe in, ideology, what does it mean? Belief. And that should be the guiding principle of people with common ideology, people with similar ideology, or people with ideologies that are close. If somebody has paid you to drop your ideology, do you blame that person? You only wanted money, you never even had an ideology. My interpretation is that you even have the same ideology with that person, but you had to stay the other side for you to attract money. That is my assessment. Ideology is your belief. Somebody needs to convince you without material implications to be able to drop it. Once it is material, I want to tell you that all that has been happening is about political anticipation. Selfish political anticipation. What do I anticipate if I stay this way? Let me give you one example. We used to have a man called Okochi in our place, and one prominent politician of pre-independence political practice. This Okochi man and the one Ebelene from our place. Ebelene and his team were of NCNC. The story has it that a time came, they purposely, of course, it may not have been on purpose, this Okochi man belonged to Action Group, of all persons within this Nkanu division. And when Zik came, Okochi had his own influence. We were told that Ebelene and team went and told Zik at this hotel presidential that he should look for this, that they should look for this man called Okochi, that he has influence and we want him come to NCNC. Okochi was invited. And then we were told that Okochi simply told Zik, to cut the long story short, if I had not been in Action Group, would you have looked for me? If I had been in NCNC, I would have been so common that you don't look for me. Zik, I don't have anything with you, but I still remain in Action Group. He had an ideology, he had a policy he was following. Can you imagine the kind of hassles, the kind of political hurdles that was placed for the Republican through Trump? Yet they remained steadfast. In Nigeria, if the wind that blew in America in the most recent election had blown in Nigeria, you would have seen all Republicans become Democrats. That is it. I don't want to believe, I don't even want to talk about APC and the way they manage opposition. Then if APC can woo you, you've never been a strong opposition. That's my assessment.
Right. I think it's also in the spirit of these issues that the Constitution tried to, fix that by saying that if you defect, you lose that seat. But then also added the caveat: if your party has an issue, except your party has an issue, if your party have some divisions or issues at the center, then you have the right to basically defect. I mean, don't you think that the Constitution is flawed in that direction?
Yeah, eventually, who made that Constitution? Let me tell you, when I read about that, when I read that portion of our Constitution from day one, of course, I ventured into politics in 2023 before this new position. I had an intention. I had a thing I believe that one man could have started. If you have a family, because political party should be a family, and you are given a proviso that if there is quarrel in your family, instead of staying back to fix it, you can jump from Mr. Wobodo's family to become Mr. Pius' family member. Don't you see that it's like tying a sprinter on both legs and still want him to do a dash, cover 100 meters in less than 1 minute. Both legs are tied. That is the defect. That proviso shouldn't have been there. It should be that once you defect, because that political party was voted for, you lose that seat. If you have a problem in your political party, you should stay back and fix it. Or you won't be holding any office in the name of that party by the time you defect. That is it. That provision was ab initio by our political allies, by those who drive our process. They created that window so that whoever they wanted, crisis could be created. The same person could even cause the crisis. And every effort to get the crisis resolved, he will still make sure it's not resolved for him to cross carpet. It shouldn't be. And of course, it's just about national assemblies and the state assemblies. What happens to the executive positions? That is it. The executive positions are exempted from that. They are protected. If a governor should defect from a political party, the proper thing should have been that he was not ab initio voted for. The party was voted for. The party logo was there. You drop that position for them. And we now know that you are consciously, because of what you believe in, cross-carpeting. I think that should be the proper thing to do. Otherwise, our democracy won't go anywhere. We won't go further from where we are.
So where do we go from here? I mean, that you think that particular position should be amended to be stiffer? Because right now,
of course,
everybody can wake up and sponsor any chaos in the party.
Any chaos in the party is for him to go ahead with the benefit that is supposed to be for the party. You make it personal. Does it even show maturity that you have crisis in your party, you didn't stay back to fix it? You are now going into another man's house that he has kept quiet. We are collectively being stupid about that. I'm sorry, I don't have another choice of word, but I don't know how to put it. But all of us are collectively, by that provision, making provisions for such things we are into now. It shouldn't be.
Well, what role do you think political parties should have in things like this? Because again, you would think about the foundation, really, of our political system. Where did we get it all wrong? Can we sit back and say, you know what, we have to correct this, you know, to the point of making sure that if you are in a particular political party, you will stay true and true. I mean, you're not moving anywhere. I mean, there's a crisis there, you stick to it. And now you have even more options. I mean, there are more than 19 parties.
It might not be like that, but I'm saying once you climb into any political position using a political party's platform, that political party owns that position. If you are cross-carpeting or you are defecting, please drop their benefit for them and cross-carpet. That is what it should be. Or, if you are in party A and you are not holding any position, I think that law should not catch up with you. Okay, the party has nothing to lose. If you want to leave, leave. But if a party has worked with you, spent their resources, and then followed you, of course they gave you that platform, you don't own it, you are not a private candidate. And you are now benefiting, they are paying you. They have given you that opportunity, the window, to excel. If you are leaving that party, that benefit should be dropped for that party so that they fix it. It is the political parties that won the election. But unfortunately, we have a situation at hand. A situation at hand in the sense that members of political parties are more of hangers-on. A few individuals sponsor the political parties and they see it as their business. People now invest in political parties. Leadership to them is no longer about service. It's about investment. It's about looking for job opportunity. And if you are looking for job, not a window for service to the people, then all you logic by uncle, once you climb the Iroko tree, you see that person fetching as much firewood as he could. That is it. But if we have a political party where everybody is involved through penny funding system, everybody contributes to what we are doing in that party. Whatever extra you must have done must have been something you do, not eyeing any political position. But political participation in Nigeria, especially when you want to become either the House of Rep member, Senate, House of Assembly, up to Mr. President, you see people spending fortune from their private purses. And once they get there, the tendencies to recoup what they have spent becomes topmost. And then now will tell you, after all, I paid off for where I am. You don't even see the political parties having the courage to challenge whatever that person is doing wrongly. And they keep waiting until the person leaves office before the anti-corruption agencies would begin to say, my friend, we've been waiting for you. No, but he has benefited everything. In fact, he has even made enough money to be able to put stumbling blocks against whatever you think the agencies could do. So the way out is to do what you are doing. Let the courts interpret that particular section of the Constitution, preparatory for amendment, that once you belong to any political party and through that platform you have clinched a position, until that era is gone, then you don't have to leave the party. If you leave the party, drop that benefit for that party. Our judicial system is very important in this position. Not when you want to cross carpet, probably your political anticipation for the next dispensation. You are believing you won't get it from that your party. You will sponsor crisis and refuse to get the crisis resolved. Then you will now one day will write to the chairman of the party, blah, 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 I resign. No, it shouldn't be. Resignation while holding political office shouldn't be that easy. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be made that easy. Otherwise, our democracy will remain where we are. We haven't grown an inch from the cradle. This is the Fourth Republic, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Yes.
And nothing has changed from the First Republic. Of course, I'm even believing that the First, Second Republic are better republics than this Fourth Republic. But it shouldn't be. We should have been growing.
But you mentioned that we should amend the laws, but it should only affect those who are already in political parties with positions. That if you're not in position, then you can defect anyhow you want. I mean, it doesn't bring to the fore again back to the issues of no ideology.
Let me tell you, nobody is indispensable. Really, nobody is indispensable. But if a political party has worked for a position and occupied that position, do you understand that let the parties not I'm tempted to use our existing political party's name, but of course, let it not be that I am about a certain political parties. But let us use this analogy. Party A, Party B. Party B would have worked with its resources and then win the position of governor. And that governor dumps it, moved from Party B to Party A. That Party A becomes the ruling party of a state he did not win, enjoying the resources invested by Party B. Are we fair? Naturally, we are not fair. Natural justice does not support that. That somebody worked with his influence or their influences, their resources, whatever they could invest in it as Party B, and wins an election and becomes the ruling party of that particular state. A single man will just move from that party without refunding the resources invested in your becoming and take it to Party A. And Party A will begin to enjoy what they did not work for. Shouldn't that be paid for? It should be compensated. So, at that particular point in time, that position is inevitable to the party that won it. But the individual who is the flag bearer can drop that flag for the people and move to wherever you want to move. No, down the line, if you are not occupying any position and you are no longer, your movement from that party is not denying that party any benefit they have worked for, you are free to move.
Yeah, but again,
my worry is moving with what a political party has worked for, giving it to a party that didn't work for it.
Yeah, but again, when you are in a particular political party, you should have some level of influence. I mean, you must have built a party to a particular point in time. So enforcing people to even have a stench of ideology is by keeping them in one place. That's what the law at least tries to do. So if you say, you know what, if you're not in position, you can do whatever you want. I mean, we're going back to
no, look at this, Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, you know, when you look at our constitution, and even by natural justice, you are free to associate with whoever you want to associate with. Freedom of association, that's what we call it. The right to freedom of association. Now, if I'm associating with you, and both of us are working hand in hand to be able to, okay, let us use this Signature TV as an example. Both of us work hand in hand to establish this Signature TV. And this Signature TV started yielding benefits. Then, let me not use you, let me use myself. I will now carry this Signature TV, leaving Mr. Charles behind, taking the Signature TV to Chris Madeke and tell you go to Blazes. How would you feel? That is too bad. But if I want to leave Signature TV and you are still interested in it, whatever benefit accruing to me from here, you will give it to me, I leave. Or if I'm the person most anxious to leave, I leave the whatever benefit accruing to Signature TV and leave, then go and start what else I want to start. That is the way it is. You have the right to freely associate. You have the right to leave that association. But if there is anything belonging to the association you are leaving, please kindly drop that thing that belongs to that association for that association. Don't take it to that person who didn't work for it.
How do we begin to build ideologies, how do you think our democracy should position in such a way that it is now more of ideological based? Is it going to be done at the political party level? Is it going to be done at the local government level? Like, where do we start from in making our democracy or our system ideological based, so that we don't have all of these, confusion, as the case may be?
Okay, let me tell you, it's so simple. It should be political party based, because it's the political party that produces the leaders of local government, state and federal government. And what is ideology? I could believe in capitalism. Some other person could also believe in communism. Some other person could also believe in socialism. We could have far right and far left. These are options we are placing before the electorates, because we are looking at the people who make choices. So these ideologies we believe in, we now use them to campaign. The choice of what the people want at a particular time is for the electorates. And if the electorates at any point in time believes in capitalism and voted for capitalism, and tomorrow the person who has that flag or who is bearing the flag will now carry that choice of the people to socialism, don't you see it's a disappointment on the people who made that choice? So it should be political party based. As a politician, what are you coming to market to the voters? That should form the basis of we are joining any political party. And when you join that political party, you do whatever you think you can to market it to the people. And if the people chooses that, please consider the people who made that choice. If you are leaving, drop that choice for the people that will execute that choice. So it should be party-based. But as it is today, all our political parties are one. What is guiding our attention? I think world over, or where things work well, ideology guides the system. But in our country, I don't know which one that guides us. It could be our political anticipation, private, personal, I don't know how to describe it. Political anticipation. This is what I anticipate to get. If I get there and the picture is not clearer, I will move from B to A. If the picture becomes more blurred in A, I will jump to C. Of course, in Nigeria, we have seen big politicians who had, in this present time, you won't even know who they are. They were PDP to APC, back to PDP, back to APC. As it is now, some of them might be thinking of a third force, a new political party. Probably the third force is now failing them. Mm. The political wind that blew in 2023 might now be dwindling. Mm-hmm. And that political wind might not, as we speak, might no longer be as strong as it was. And permutations are on now, a third force. God help us. God help us. I'm just being sincere about that. Let our people, let us know what we believe in.
Yeah, you seem so helpless about this.
Yeah, I appear helpless because materialism is the spirit that is on now.
Do you think poverty, the level of poverty is also part of it?
No, Mr. Charles, it can't be poverty. Don't bring poverty into it. Why? Because, yes, I have seen people who could be considered poor who would never, ever change their belief for any material benefit. Let me share this example with you. I was quite a young man in 1983. My father was it in 1983? That should be 1979 elections. My father was one of the strong voices in our community. He had his influence at his level in that community. At that point in time, politicians were really campaigning. Jim Wobodo first came to our place to consult with my father. He said, Chief Wobodo, my father gave him his words. Sisi Ono came. My father told him, though a number of persons says that political gifts don't kill, but now, before you came, I had given Jim Wobodo my support and words. I don't wish you anything evil, but I won't take from you, and I won't support you. At that point in time, we were not economically influential. My father had nothing except that once he says yes, go to anywhere, that yes remains yes. There are people like that. I want to use myself as an example. Find what you believe in. Stand for what you believe in.
In 1979, I think things are a lot better than what we have today. I mean,
that is my surprise, because we are nosediving instead of progressing.
And so that's the reason why somebody would say they will collect 50 million naira, you know, just to kill their own political party. I mean,
it's so unfortunate because they never believed in that political party. Nobody kills what he believes in. That's the point I'm making. Nobody on earth kills what he believes in. We can only kill what we are pretending to believe in. Mr. Charles, I want to tell you, it is a lot easier to wake a man who is actually asleep than trying to wake a man who is pretending to be asleep. If a man is pretending to be asleep, it's much more difficult to wake him. But if somebody is actually asleep and you try to wake him, he wakes up once you start waking him up. That is where we find ourselves. It's so unfortunate it is like this.
It's interesting, really. I mean, I think it's a perfect place to leave it. It is very, very difficult to wake up a man who is pretending to be sleeping, and very easy to wake up somebody who is actually
asleep. That is it.
What a wonderful line. Many thanks, sir, for your time. Thank you for the insight. I truly appreciate you. We understand your correlation is coming up in the month of May, and I'm sure that Senior TV in its own strengths would support you in that direction. So maybe after now we'll have the discussion regarding that.
You are public. The people have heard you.
I mean, yeah, we can support you in different ways. Maybe we might be the one to bring the yam. So that different support that
is the support. That is the support. Thank you.
All right, so that was an amazing discussion with the one and only Royal Majesty. I'm talking about Chinedu Nwobodo, rather, giving us an insight into defections and the guilt of defections and how it affects democracy. Once again, we say a very big thank you to you.
Thank you
once again.
Thank you, viewers.
All right.
Good morning.
We are connecting to Abuja studios where our colleagues are waiting for another interesting discussions from then on. I'm Charles Pius. Have a good morning.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
I'm broadcasting that is strongly taking the place of TV and radio broadcasting. We've had people who are, big aristocrats. We have personalities who are basically doing a whole lot of stuff online, just basically doing stuff online, and that's who they are. They're called, personalities, even much more respected than those who are on mainstream radio and TV. Well, anyway, we'll come up to that a little later. We have someone in the live studios of Signature TV who would give us a little insight on the challenges associated with production of content on television. We have live in the studio with us this morning Uzodimma Amadi. He's a content strategist. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning and thank you.
How do you do?
Well, how do you do too?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm great.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on highlighting what the challenges that TV broadcasting could have, but can you tell us from your end, what should a proper content for TV entail?
That's a good question. That's a very good place to start. I think that the very first challenge is with the design of the TV house itself. What do you really want to achieve with your TV station? What kind of a TV station do you want to run? Is it a news TV station? Is it a family-friendly station? Is it a music station? You have to make up your mind what you want to do first of all, before you now start thinking about how you're going to get the content.